Practice fights take place there, with no weapons and no injuries. The inmates show off their fighting skills, but often things get out of hand.
If you have to fight, then you have to. Sometimes even with a knife. The camera doesn't reach back here, so this is where we do it.
Nicholas sustained several injuries in his last fight. Since then, his pinky has been stiff. There's no shortage of reasons to fight here.
The boy doesn't like black people. Then he started screaming in the yard, "I don't like blacks! Who should I fight?" I came into the yard and tried to stay calm and not worry about it, but the boy wouldn't leave me alone, so we fought.
Most altercations arise because of stealing, unpaid debts, drugs, or simply out of boredom. And no fight ends without injuries. Almost everyone here has a weapon: knives, scissors, needles. There's even a man in Nicholas's gang who is responsible for replenishing the supply of weapons. Wrapped up and camouflaged, the knives are barely noticeable. Many of the inmates don't just turn weapons on others, but also on themselves. Nicholas is one of them.
I'm bipolar, so I have radical mood swings. Seeing blood helps me keep myself under control. But I don't do anything to anyone else, just to myself. I used to go to a psychiatrist every month, and he gave me pills, but I don't have any anymore. I took them all.
New prisoners are examined by a psychologist as part of their processing. But many disorders and problems only develop during their stay in prison. Cutting oneself is a standard method of numbing the pain and the desperation. The prisoners receive no proper psychological treatment. Again and again, there are inmates who try to put an end to their time in prison by putting an end to their own lives. Like this young prisoner. He's already tried to jump from the highest floor into the yard 3 times. His fellow inmates managed to stop him. Today is his latest suicide attempt. He tried to hang himself with a t-shirt. The handcuffs are meant to protect him from himself.
The situation with this guy is difficult. He's overwhelmed. He has strong suicidal tendencies. We have to pay close attention to him until he goes to the hospital. If we don't get him fixed, I know he'll try to commit suicide again.
Such situations set off the guards' alarm bells. Some of the inmates use this as an excuse to get more attention and special treatment. For this reason, strict examinations are carried out first. There is no room for pity here.
He's been here for 1 month. It's his first time. In general, the first time is difficult. They're often depressed because they're separated from their families.
The young inmate lost his girlfriend. She committed suicide. He wanted to join her. Many of the inmates must struggle with such strokes of fate. The families also suffer from the separation. John Fernando's wife, for example. For 3 years, she's had to raise their child all by herself. After the medical examination in the hospital, the prisoners return to their cell blocks. And in this cell block, John Fernando is the boss. He oversees the routines, the dealing with drugs and weapons. He is supported by a 12-man crew. Here, he has the same role as Nicholas does in his yard. And the 2 men have known each other for a long time.
Told that he was right here. He was my boy too. He used to work for me too. But he fought. He fought with somebody else, somebody that is here, and he stabbed him really bad. The other kid is a little kid, but the little kid is so bad, you know. He like to stab people just for nothing, you know. So that's why they changed him. And he now is the boss over there. You see how he thinks. Here he have to listen to me. Over there, probably if I get there, I have to listen to him. Who knows? Or fight with him. Who knows? You know, but he's my friend still, but he's a bad guy. He got himself, he's crazy.
And this is the guy Nicholas fought with. The guy who doesn't like, quote-unquote, blacks. Many inmates wear their scars proudly. They show that they don't run away from fights. Things aren't going so well for Nicholas in his cell block at the moment. His dealings, the fact that he demands money and cigarettes from others, have been discovered. He and a member of his gang are even supposed to have threatened another inmate with a knife, and not for the first time. The prison has to investigate accusations like this.
I don't like your innocent attitude. You've got to clear this up with the boy. I don't want you to harm him again. If you do, you'll get solitary confinement. We've respected you. We respect your rights. But you don't respect the others. You don't give a shit. This changes now. If you do it again, and I don't care if you cut each other's ears off, you'll never get out of solitary.
Solitary confinement also means an extension of the sentence, or that the current sentence cannot be reduced. Constant misbehavior leads to power struggles between the guards and the inmates, and the inmates always get the short end of the stick.
There's a little problem. So we've got to behave.
The little problem has widespread effects. The head of discipline and the lieutenant make an announcement to all the prisoners. Today they're just talking, but acts of disobedience are often quickly met with a baton.
That's another issue, but security is paramount, and that's why we're here today.
Gentlemen, first, you've all been sentenced and will be here a long time. You should know that no one pays money for anything. Not to the guards, not to the administration, not to the inmates. I'll say this today nicely, for the first and the last time. No one may cheat or beat on others. No one.
Even if some of the inmates feel threatened by Nicholas and his gang, everyone is against the guards and the lieutenants. Instead of simply giving in and behaving peacefully, now they really start to get restless.
It's difficult. We have to check it out. It's the third time they've said it.
In such heated situations, things can also get dangerous for the guards and the prison employees. Many of the inmates are not shy about resorting to violence even with them. Nicholas wants to confront the people who ratted on him.
Everyone!
The first commandment, never tell on another inmate, has been broken. And there's a lot at stake for Nicholas.
I've called you here to talk about something. Several people have complained that we're extorting you. If you feel extorted because you have to pay 35 cents or a cigarette, then we'll stop cleaning. We won't do anything anymore, and we'll let the yard stay dirty. Why? Someone complained to the people at the top that we demand money or cigarettes. It's not for us, it's for the cleaners. But if you don't want to pay, then don't. And then we won't clean.
In the jail, 35 cents or cigarettes are worth a lot. Sometimes guards make deals with inmates in order to get information. Then it's easy to betray a fellow inmate.
I don't know who it was, but they're attacking me for the money you pay for cleaning.
Just like a president must take blame for his government, Nicolas must take the blame for his yard.
If I ask for money again, they'll put me on trial. And they don't clean for free.
There are official cleaners and people Nicholas chooses to clean. Then only the official cleaners will work.
The inmates fear solitary confinement, not only because of the extra prison time, but also because of the cell itself. The solitary confinement cells are like a prison within a prison. The light goes on here at 5 a.m. and goes off at 5 p.m. Daylight only shines through the small grate at the ceiling. Mattresses and blankets are removed from the cells during the day. Only the concrete slab remains. Twice a day, the inmates are allowed to take a walk accompanied by a guard in an isolated yard. The isolation itself is the worst punishment.
You get bored in the cell. You're in despair. You just want to beat your head against the wall. You're so desperate.
The solitary confinement cells also act as a kind of quarantine station for inmates with illnesses or wounds that have to heal. But some illnesses get worse here.
For example, this door fell off when a prisoner lit himself on fire in the cell. The prisoner lost control of himself. He's mentally ill and thought a devil commanded him to set fire to his cell.
The inmates are alone with themselves and their thoughts. That's the worst thing for them. New inmates have come to John Fernando's cell block today. It took 12 hours to process them. Diego is now officially a prisoner in the penitentiary. Although he recognizes faces from his last jail, he still has to learn how the inmates and the guards here tick.
Things are different here. It's not like the other jail.
After more than 12 hours, the newbies finally get something to eat. Bread, a banana, and avena, a Colombian oat beverage. But they don't have much time. Soon the prisoner's official representative will give them an introduction. This man is the guard's mouthpiece to the inmates. It's his job to explain the jail's rules to the new arrivals.
This is a community. We don't want any brawling, either with older or younger inmates. This is a place for coming together. Second, there is no stealing here, although there are thieves. We call them brooms. If you're a broom, you won't do well here.
Translation: stealing will get you beat up. Diego must now internalize these rules in order to avoid having problems. Most prisoners obey the rules in the beginning, but the longer they're here, the more daring they get. Like Nicolas. The upheaval has now calmed down somewhat and will soon subside entirely. Before the cell doors close for the evening, some of the inmates get medication. The doctor only distributes pills to inmates with a prescription and an official medical diagnosis. Many prisoners try to get medication this way, so a watchful eye is necessary. The prisoners are given insulin syringes, medication for flu symptoms, and antipsychotics. They're not prescribed to the individual needs of mentally ill patients, however. They're just tranquilizers. Every few months, a psychologist conducts examinations, but usually nothing changes. Too many inmates with different problems means excessive costs for the local government.